Welcome to Sunrise Life, the podcast where we have deep conversations with fellow traveling models. Today, I have Veronica LaVery on the line. Say hello.
Hey Christy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so thrilled that you had the time to do this podcast episode with me.
No, likewise, I know we scheduled it for a few days now, but I've been watching you for a while doing this, and I'm impressed. And I listened to some of the episodes already, and all the stories and all the girls I'm looking up on Instagram, and everybody sounds pretty awesome.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much. It really makes me feel special when people have listened to the episode before I interview them.
I think you kind of have to do your research, What if you were asking some creepy questions and I wasn't ready? I need to know what I'm getting myself
Right.
into.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. That is fully understandable. So I've been following you on social media on and off for actually kind of a long time. A long time ago, I was looking up to your YouTube because I thought that you were a great example of another freelance model that just really crushes it on social media and puts themselves out there and does a really good job at YouTube. And I went to go stalk your YouTube channel the other day just in preparation for this, and your previous channel got shut down.
Yeah, so first, thank you for the kind words because it does take time and effort and energy to build something. And, it kind of skyrocketed. And when I started it, I didn't even know where it's gonna go. I was making these silly videos from photo shoots and travels, and I was just having fun with it. I didn't know how to edit, didn't know how to do the music in there. It looked kind of crappy at the beginning, but I had fun with it, so I kept on doing it. And then after a few months, it got monetized. I was starting to make some money, starting to get followers, and within a year, I had a great fan base. I got the plaque for, the YouTube award for a lot of subscribers, and it kept on growing. And then I think year and a half later, or I don't know exact time span, but it got shut down, it got demonetized, and they harassed me to, delete videos. So I deleted basically almost 40 to 60% of the videos just in the hopes of having it monetized again. And they made me delete all this content, and they never monetize it back. So I never got my channel back. It's still on there. I can still post, but if it's not monetizing, then I'm just wasting time. And plus, even if you search for videos now, mine is not showing up much. So even
Yeah.
if I wanted to post, it's not gonna get the views. It's just useless. So I get from millions of views, from rapid growth of an audience to nothing. And then basically a big kick in my ass because I was relying on the income monthly. So it was really a big shock.
Yeah. I've also dealt with some issues on various social platforms, such as yourself, with getting demonetized, getting suspended, and I feel like this is happening more and more frequently to more photographers and models, or I suppose just anybody making content that features a beautiful woman in it.
You would think, but then you look up some other models, and I don't want to, compare myself to anybody or anything, but you see these other various of channels, and they show so much skin, and it's so naughty and so bizarre, and they stay up, and nobody says anything, and same with accounts on social media. So I don't understand guidelines that they give you. I think it's very subjective, or maybe your name is already in the algorithm that just always get some kind of a shadow ban or something, but
Yeah.
it's been bizarre for years. So this doesn't really surprise me, but I thought YouTube was like a safe haven for me from being deleted all on all the other platforms. And then it turned out to be just one of them. So yeah, it's been one big disappointment with the whole social media sphere for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that it is your identity that's specifically being targeted? Because I have felt that about myself.
Yeah, but we can only speculate because I never got straight answers from anybody, from Facebook, from Instagram. No matter how many times I appealed and tried to get my accounts back, I never heard from anybody anything. So I can just only think that maybe the hashtag of Playboy model is bad. Maybe my name is bad. Maybe me showing cleavage is bad. Maybe me mentioning whatever words in the video is bad. I really don't know. I
Yeah.
never heard anything from anybody.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's
Yeah.
weird, yeah. So I try not to even think about it, but I think people that try to have a channel, they know how hard it is to even get like 1,000 subscribers. And now think about like building an audience of 200 plus, it takes time and the editing and just having fun with it. And you
Yeah.
know how it is. It's a lot of work. And if they take it away, it's just a big, big disappointment.
Yes, I have felt it as well on YouTube and Instagram and other platforms,
You
even
got
video.
deleted as well, or what happened to you exactly?
So on my YouTube, I had the same YouTube channel since 2009. And a lot of the videos were just like casual me and my life type of a thing. Some of them was me talking, and some of them were posing videos. And last summer, after I posted a posing demonstration video in booty shorts and a crop top, my channel was taken down the next day, and I didn't have any strikes on my channel. They told me that my violation was severe, and so severe that they wouldn't give me my channel back. Like, it was just
No
completely suspended.
warnings, nothing. It's just you
Yeah.
got it taken down from one day to another.
Yeah. And I tried going to Twitter to talk to people that worked for YouTube on Twitter, and I got a human, and they were like, "Oh, we looked at your account. You have to just defer to the response that our first email after you tried to get your account back." And that was a no. So, yeah, it sucked. But so yeah,
That
like,
is, yeah, so you fully understand what this is like. This is so crazy to me. Sometimes they were even telling me that maybe it's the OnlyFans links or something. I'm like, I never posted anything like that. If anything, it was like a flow code directory of links. So how can they demonetize based on a link in a bio? It just
yeah.
makes no sense. I'm sorry it happened to you, but you know, it's just kind of part of our life, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so sad and so weird.
Yeah, it makes it hard to keep it on, but you are continuing and, continuing to post content and like share your work, and like you have a good positive energy, and I can see your personality in your posts and stuff. So I can tell that
Oh,
you're,
you can? Yeah, because we
yeah,
never met in person or not yet, so it's hard to kind of judge a person based on their posts. But
yeah.
I'm glad you see that. I feel like that about you, and just hearing
Oh,
your podcast episode, it feels like you have a really kind spirit, and it's just nice to see positive mindsets out there doing this type of work because I come across a lot of stuck up people in this business, and it's very discouraging too. I don't want to be one of them.
totally. Yeah, I know what you mean. And another thing, as I've been traveling recently in the last few months, I'm staying at a photographer's house, and they're editing my pictures, and they move over to the other tab, and I see that the other pictures that they're editing is pictures of you. And so I've seen pictures of you at photographers' houses kind of frequently in the last few
Oh
months.
wow.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Where did you go? We must have been like missing each other in the same cities.
I recently went to Dallas, and I think that you must have just been in Dallas right before me or something like that. Because,
I was
um,
there in January, but yeah, there is a bunch of people I work in Dallas. I love Texas, so I'm glad you went. That's a great place to shoot.
yeah, I shot with David and stayed at his house, and he was editing pictures from your recent shoot. And yeah,
Well,
Tim.
I hope they were nice pictures,
Oh
not
yeah, of
just
course
some
they
crappy ones.
were. um,
Because sometimes they pick some crappy ones to edit. I'm like, no, 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 not this one.
no way. Nobody could take a crappy
But
picture.
I'm glad you had a good time there.
Oh yeah,
It's a fun place to be.
I love Dallas. It is a fun place. For our listeners, I would love to also hear how you first got into modeling, and in a nutshell, how your career has progressed to lead you to where you are now.
Yeah, so these stories are always interesting, isn't it? Like I've been hearing from so many models how they wanted to model all their life, and as a child they just saw themselves in front of a camera. And for me, I was such a tomboy. I had nothing to do with being pretty, doing makeup, doing hair. I could care less. I grew up in a place where it's a small mountain town in Czech Republic, and I was with friends all the time and just being more like a little rebel. I was in a band and always just doing stuff that not a feminine girl is doing. So when we moved to the States and I didn't know anybody or anything about what am I gonna even do here when I was 17. I put myself on MySpace just to meet some people, it's kind of creepy thinking about it now. And it kind of ages me too because MySpace, nobody probably knows about it now. But I put some pictures on there and I started getting hit up by so many weird people. I'm like, what is this? This is so crazy. And people are offering me photo shoots and I'm like, go away. Like, why would I even want to do a photo shoot? These were just like some mirror pictures, selfies. Just in the old days, that was the cool stuff to post.
Right.
So I was posting those thinking, okay, maybe I'm gonna meet friends or maybe a new boyfriend, whatever. And I got these stupid messages for photo shoots. And then after months and months of declining, I'm like, okay, maybe I should consider it, whatever. What do I have to lose? So after graduation, right the next day from high school, I set up a first photo shoot and I fell in love with it. And then I started scheduling more and asking around where I should even maybe put my pictures up so I can connect with some like-minded people. And one girl, she used to model. She was from my country, from Czech Republic. She recommended Model Mayhem. So I made an account on there and then it all started there.
That's cool. I love that. Actually, I also found my first shoot through MySpace, so I can,
Oh, you did?
yeah.
That really ages us so much. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm okay with that though. I mean,
Yeah, I don't mind it either, but it's just if you talk to like a typical millennial today, they would be like, MySpace, what?
yeah, yeah, it was a long time ago. So we're probably around
Wow.
the age.
But Model Mayhem was a great starting point. I don't know if you got on there as well when you started.
Yeah, I started my Model Mayhem, I think when I was 20. So I had already been using MySpace and Craigslist to find
Oh
photographers.
wow, you were brave.
Yeah.
Craigslist, I don't think I've ever used it for modeling and I would never recommend it, but if you had great experience, then
It
you
was a
got
mixed
lucky.
bag. It was a mixed bag.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start, you don't know. So I guess, yeah, what do you have to, you gotta learn your lessons. So I'm glad nothing really bad happened back then.
Yeah, I mean, my first shoot was pretty bad, but for some reason, I still pursued modeling after that, and I met
What was
more.
so bad?
So my first shoot was the photographer who found me on MySpace, and he sent me a message saying, "Oh, I like your, pictures. Do you want to do a real photo shoot with a real photographer?" And when I replied, I was kind of insecure and I was like, oh, I don't think you would want to photograph me. I'm not really a model and I'm really
I
short.
cannot imagine you having such a response. Like you seem such a confident woman.
Thanks.
Responding like that is so weird.
I was really insecure when I was a teenager, but
Wow.
he said basically, well, why don't you just show up and we'll see if you make the cut,
Oh
right?
my God, he talked like a big shot.
Yeah, he was talking like a big shot and he told me he would pay me $100 if I posed nude and $50 if we did bikini and lingerie. And I was like, let's just start off with bikini and lingerie. And
Okay, that's smart.
yeah, long story short, he kind of pressured me into posing nude and then tried pressuring me into starting a porn site like that same day
Oh my
and was
God.
was trying to get me to suck his dick. And I was like, he pressured me into the nudity and I kind of
Well, here goes modeling for you,
right,
That's
right.
a
And
great starting point.
it freaked me out. And then he could tell that I was freaked out. And he was like, we don't want you calling the cops on us. I need you to sign this non-disclosure agreement. Don't tell
Oh,
anybody
there
about
were more people than one person?
him and like some chick that lived with him that wasn't really his girlfriend, but I think that she helped recruit models or something like that.
Oh my God, he was just a disgusting pimp. Where was this?
It was in Bothell, Washington.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
in the guy's basement, obviously.
That's so disgusting. I'm surprised that you even went. That's crazy.
I was really gullible. I was raised really
Mm,
sheltered, so I thought everybody was nice. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, well, for anybody listening that's trying to get into it, this is not a good advice. Like, don't go to anybody's basement,
Yeah.
especially not alone.
Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff the hard way, but I'm glad that you didn't have the same experience as me.
Yeah, well, there's always creepy experiences, but yeah, when you're starting, this is so, we're all naive a little bit. I don't think anybody comes to this industry knowing everything. That's a myth. So I think we all learn from our mistakes, and I'm sure you wouldn't do it again if you could go back. So,
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't know how to read the red flags, but I just kind of learned the hard way.
well, I'm glad it didn't discourage you. Look where you are now. That's
Yeah, thanks.
amazing that you didn't let it just take away the whole, I don't know, the enjoyment of the future shoots or something.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. So for your first few shoots, like what kind of style was it? Were you doing like bikini? Like how did that work?
No, I didn't even want to do anything too revealing at first. I just, since, well, let's put it this way, I was okay shooting whatever, but I felt like I just want to do anything creative. So I was shooting with different costumes, different wigs. I was shooting with snakes. I was shooting with graffiti, just whatever. And in no time, I basically had a portfolio, but back then I didn't even know what portfolio was. I was just gathering all these pictures and I'm like, I guess I have a portfolio because people are saying, "Oh, you have a nice portfolio." I'm like, "Okay." I Googled it and then I found out what portfolio was, but I was just seeing it as my creative outlet and I didn't even charge. And then I started getting paid and it kind of took off. I think once you do something that you love, it shows, and then it just you kind of go from there. But I was never starting modeling in order to make money or in order to show off somewhere. I was doing it because of my pure pleasure of just creating, and it led me to where I'm today. And it's just kind of an amazing journey when I think back at it,
That's
because I
awesome.
never planned this.
You started modeling off of MySpace right out of high school. Did you have like another job at the same time?
Not at all, no. I was fully at school and we were here as immigrants, so, I was just focusing on school and figuring out my life basically.
That's cool. And so modeling eventually sort of like took over whatever like you would be doing for a career then?
Yes, so I enrolled in interior design because I love just designing spaces and I just love anything about it. But then once I start getting paid for modeling, I'm like, I don't even want to do this anymore. This takes too much of my time. I want to move to LA and just, do this full time. So I took online classes just to get some kind of degree and some kind of backup plan. But I was moving from Sacramento, where we first moved to as a family, to LA, and I just focused on it fully. Like I became actress. I did a lot of shoots locally. I didn't have to travel that much. I did castings in LA and did school online and just made it work. I was kind of scavenging, I wasn't living the LA lifestyle because I think a lot of people that never lived in LA, they don't realize how expensive it can be and how hard the life is on the daily basis. So I wasn't living a luxurious life, but I was making it work and always moved to better place every couple of years or so. And I don't know, you just progress, you go with time. I didn't really stress it. I just knew I wanted to be somewhere where it's work, and LA was the closest to Sacramento, so that's where I moved.
That's awesome. Were you working with any agencies also?
I did have some agencies, but it was usually just for catalog work and just silly assignments. I know when I first started, they wanted to send me to Asia because the agents like my look, but everything sounds so sketchy to me. So I didn't proceed with it. I don't know. Maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But if I had that feeling back then, I think I made the right decision not to go.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some like fucked up stuff about agencies that say that they've got work for like kind of young models overseas. I mean, not saying
Yeah.
that it was necessarily definitely gonna be a scam, but you know.
Yeah, you never know. Plus, since I was an or I am an immigrant and I didn't have anybody there, I didn't know anybody, I think I was an easy target for stuff like this. But I always had my intuition antenna on, and if something doesn't feel right, I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, that was probably a good move.
I think so too. Yeah, but now I thinking back, like how come the Asians like my look? Like this is so funny.
Yeah, yeah. I think it might just be like an American sort of a look or whatever, I suppose.
It's so funny to me.
Yeah. And so you're also, as I've noticed that you've been posting about, working in real estate.
Yeah, so I've been doing real estate since I moved to Florida. In 2021, I got my license, and when the market was busy, I was very busy as an agent, and I didn't even travel for like a year and a half. So it kept me busy. It kind of kept me away from modeling, but for a good reason. I like just staying local and focusing on my life and a new career. But then once the market slowed down, I needed to do something. I never worked another job than modeling, and now real estate was the only source of my income since the YouTube was demonetized. So once the market just slowed down, I had to shift gears and just get back to modeling. So for the meantime, I'm gonna model again full time, but I would like to just do real estate and a little bit of modeling and not so much modeling and a little bit of real estate. I would like to switch it, but we gotta wait for the market to get better.
Yeah, that's understandable. But I think that's a good plan to have a diversified skill set.
I think you always need some kind of a plan B, C, D. It's really stressful if you just rely on one source of income or just on the modeling jobs. And I did it for many years in LA, and I could have done so much better if I just had another job or just some kind of a different career as well. I didn't, when you're in your 20s, or at least me, I was just kind of, I don't want to say stupid. I'm not a stupid person, but I could have done so much better. I just wish I knew what I know now, and I would be in a totally different place. But
Yeah,
you live and learn.
hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Do you do anything else besides modeling now?
Yeah, I do a little bit of stock trading and I'm, moderately successful in that in a little bit. So,
Good for you.
yeah, thanks. I do photography also, but I don't usually like promote my photography for hire. I have had some work as a videographer, photographer, and I'm a commercially licensed drone pilot, so I could.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, yeah, that means I can shoot drone footage for people for pay and stuff like that. But I
Oh,
usually
wow.
I usually just do it for fun because I enjoy
But why
it.
don't you promote your photography business?
The times that I did promote my photography, videography, and this is where I have to give a huge props to anybody that does photography full time, especially videography. Um, the negotiation process for like doing videography work is really, really relying on exactly, how much editing do they want me to do and how many different angles, different cameras, do they need audio? Do do they need me to do for my video project for them? Some people just say, "What's your rate?" And I'm like, "Okay, what do you want me to film? How much work am I going to be putting into it?"
Hmm.
And so, like, itemizing out the negotiation process of how many hours it's going to take, if the customer doesn't understand why the project is going to be more expensive than something else, I have found that a lot of people have a vision that is really not my wheelhouse. So I decided that I just kind of really enjoyed doing photography and videography for my own creative purposes, and I kind of utilize it for my own YouTube projects or like creative video projects or to create traveling videos to give myself memories to look back on or to photograph or film my friends when we meet up in different like parts of the world. And that's kind of where I get my enjoyment out of it. There's still sometimes like I have a gig next week where somebody wants me to film a model for OFTV. Are you familiar with OFTV?
No, never heard of it. Is it like a OnlyFans TV or?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It is like OnlyFans's version of YouTube. And I've been in contact with the people that work there. Basically, in order to have an OFTV, you have to have an OnlyFans page that's safe for work that it can be linked to. Because this section of OnlyFans, I guess there's like a island of OnlyFans that doesn't want to associate with like the porn that's on OnlyFans, and they want OnlyFans to be presented as like a way for anybody to monetize their fan base, which is
Well,
totally
might as
legit.
well change the name though, because the reputation is already destroyed. So I don't know what
Yeah.
they're gonna try to do. It's so funny.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're aware of a few years ago when they threatened to take down all of their 18 plus creators, and they were like, "We're going to be a safe for work platform now." And then everybody freaked out and moved to Fansly. But anyway, yeah, so OFTV is like some kind of a way to create YouTube style content that promotes your safe for work OnlyFans page. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna film. They're gonna talk about some like history of stuff, and they just want me to film it for them and transfer the raw footage. So it sounds like an easy gig, but anyway. So
That's a
all
strange video to make for OnlyFans TV. Oh, just talking about history here,
they're
nothing to
talking
see.
about the history of various like erotica films and stuff like that, and
Oh, okay, so it has to be a little
yeah.
about the sexy stuff, yeah.
It doesn't, I don't think it necessarily has to be, but when I communicated with people that worked at OFTV, because I was considering starting one, the video that I uploaded was like a try-on haul video. I was like, oh, this one was on my YouTube channel. I could just put this up there. And they said it
Hmm.
was showing too much. And I was like, how, like, this was on YouTube with no problem. Like, how is it
Hmm.
not it showing too much for OFTV? Like, so I was like, you know what? If you guys are this strict, we're probably not going to work out.
Well, yeah, the standards for all these videos and social platforms are just so strange because it can be viewed by one person and then another person can just totally shut it down. So
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. But that was kind of like a long way to answer your question of do I also have other avenues of income?
No, I love it because I see a lot of models taking their own photography knowledge into their own business. So it's pretty amazing. And some of you guys do a really nice job. So I'm impressed because I am not a technical person by any means. So as much as I love photography and the whole life of it, I would never want to pick up the camera and shoot. It's so I find it impressive, to be honest.
Thanks. Yeah, it's enjoyable. There's definitely benefits and disadvantages to being on either side of the camera, but being able to do both to me is fulfilling.
I think as a model, it's especially beneficial because you've been on the other side and you know what it feels like. You know how to make the girl feel better and more confident. So this is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know that feeling you get in your heart when you capture the magic and you just get that feeling of peace when you're happy about the photo that you just created? And then suddenly all that money that you spent on your lenses and your lighting or your gear and all the times that you've driven to a location and it didn't work out have finally amounted to something amazing? That's a feeling I often get with underwater modeling. Everything moves differently underwater. The lighting, the fabric, the hair, it's just so ethereal and magic. If you're captivated by underwater photography, here is your sign to join me and my friend Raven Lynette in the cenotes in Mexico this coming November 9th through 13th. We're putting on an all-inclusive luxury fine art photography adventure. Everybody gets their own room in a fancy Airbnb on the waterfront, and Raven and I will take you to amazing locations with clear, stunning water with a variety of different underwater nature locations. The early bird price is $3,100 and increases on July 31st. So make sure to get your deposit in before then. Hit me up on social media if you're interested and have questions. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled show.
So I have a segment of my podcast that I call the photo shoot fail of the week. It's an opportunity for you to tell a crazy photo shoot story. It could be crazy good, crazy bad, maybe something happened at the photo shoot that was insane, or maybe the photographer themselves was insane. But what's one of your crazy photo shoot stories?
I don't think mine are as crazy as maybe the other girls on the podcast, but a few months ago I was supposed to do a shoot with the guy that we communicated on Model Mem. Everything seemed fine. He wanted to shoot glamour slash nude shoot, so everything seemed fine. But once I got there, and this is a guy from out of town, he was visiting, so he was in some Airbnb, and I came by, was all prepared, had my bag with extra stuff just in case we need to change, and then we were looking at the pictures that we want to shoot, and everything seemed fine and tasteful. But then he starts taking his shirt off as he's putting his phone down. And I'm like, why are you taking your shirt off? He's like, it's a nude shoot. I'm like, looking at him straight in the eyes. I'm like, yeah, I'm nude, not you. What are you doing? So we had this whole silly conversation, and I posted about this on my Instagram months ago when it happened. I actually recorded a video as I was driving home because I was so freaked out. And then I just told him, like, I don't know if this is a miscommunication, but you said nude shoot. And for me, nude shoot is me being nude, not you being nude. I'm not going to be shooting with somebody and his ding dong hanging in my face. This is not what I signed up for, and I'm not okay with it. So I packed my bags and I left. It was bizarre. I still don't know if I didn't understand it. I'm going to blame it in my whatever European background, but at the same time, I'm pretty clear with communication, so I doubt that I missed something. But, things like this happen, I guess. But when I saw how many girls he shot, and some of them I know that they were okay with this kind of situation, it blew my mind. I was just thinking on the way back home, I'm like, how can these girls be okay with a nude old photographer taking pictures of them like that? First of all, we already in a vulnerable position, being naked and in front of a strange dude who we don't even find attractive at the first place. And now we have to look at his junk hanging next to the camera. Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not.
Wow.
To me, that was disgusting. So I don't even know what to add to it. It's just, that's the story.
One thing that I find bizarre about this is that you've been doing this for such a long time and you are very established as a professional in the industry. And I would assume that most people who are booking you through Model Mayhem can see how long you've been on there, how much experience you have. And usually, like, people don't usually fuck with us that have this amount of experience. That usually seems like something that somebody would try with the model that just got into modeling. So I find it very odd that this person tried that with you, and it makes me wonder, like, if he does that at all of his shoots.
Like a little secret surprise. Like, no, by the way, I'm gonna be nude too if you don't mind. But the most bizarre thing is too that he didn't even want to shoot otherwise. Like, we could have just had a nice shoot. I would get over it. Just give me 1 minute to cool off and we're good to shoot. But he did not want to shoot with him having clothes on. I found it so weird. I was ready. I was prepared. I was on time.
Did he pay you?
I think I got my money back, but I had to be really persistent because I drove a long ways. It wasn't just by my house. So I wanted my money. I showed up on time. I did what I was supposed to do, and he didn't want to shoot. So, he's to blame. I'm not the one to blame here.
Wow, dude, that is audacious. Whoa.
People are weird, but it makes me feel really bad for the girls that don't stand their ground, because just because some old dude with the camera tells you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. You have your standards, you have your, like, have a respect for yourself and for your body. How would you even explain the situation to your boyfriend or your family? Oh yeah, I had a shoot, the guy was naked taking pictures of me. That's so horrible. I would never do anything like that. I find it so disrespectful and just plain disgusting.
Yeah, and there have been some models on this podcast that had like similar situations with other photographers that wanted to be naked at the photo shoot, and it just makes me feel so like what are they getting out of it that like they want you to see their dick or something? Like I just
I think
don't
they're
understand.
hoping for more action. That's like an open door. They're giving you an open door for whatever. Then what if he gets an erection? Where does it go from there? All of a sudden, from a model, I'm gonna be an escort within a couple of minutes, or it's just so bizarre. But I think these girls that don't stand their ground and they don't tell him it's not okay, they giving him a green light for him to be confident about the process and confident to ask other models and making it okay, and it's not okay. It's not.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. does that ever work at a photo shoot with any model though? Like, has that, like, when somebody sends a dick pic, in the history of guys sending dick pics, is the recipient of it ever like, wow, I love this, like, send me
Well,
more?
unless it's your boyfriend, you should love it.
Right,
But
yeah, if it's your
if it's
boyfriend.
like if it's some solicitation picture, then you gotta block it or ignore it. But I find it, even if I open images like that, they still keep on sending me stuff because they see that I opened it. And I'm digging myself hole here, just opening other people's messages because I'm assuming maybe it's business or maybe this. You never know what you're gonna get, but once you open a message, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, that, I find it really hard to wrap my mind around the mentality of like a photographer doing that, but I feel like I'm also constantly being surprised with how weird some people act.
You still get surprised? I feel like I don't even get surprised anymore. I feel like I've seen it all, been there, done that. Like, I would love to get more surprised.
Yeah, right. As long as it's not being subjected directly at you, right?
I think I can handle myself in any situation, but it's just, like some dudes think they're so original with their pickup lines or their approach to shooting and their planning. I'm like, just cut it short. I've heard this before. I'm not gonna tell them like this, but in my mind, I'm just rolling my eyes thinking, oh my God, here we go again. So
Have you dealt
it's
with
just,
have you dealt with photographers who like fall in love with you or like try to hit on you like that?
I don't want to say all the time, but very often to the point where I'm just like, whoa, this is just bizarre. Yeah, you gotta keep your distance. That's why I may have like a hard shell to some people at first, but once you meet me and we know each other, it's a little different. But I am so accustomed to just people being so flirtatious and so annoying to the point of I don't, sometimes I don't even want to do it because it's so annoying how they try to get to me in specific ways or date me or do this, do that. I sometimes get messages where they don't even want to shoot because they're too attracted to me. And I find it so bizarre. And this happened more than a few times where they just don't want to schedule a shoot because, they couldn't handle themselves. And
Wow.
I find it nice that they tell me honestly, but at the same time, how can you even tell this to a model? Like, I'm not on a dating site asking you to shoot.
Yeah,
So it's very weird.
that is very weird. Wow. I
But I'm
wonder,
sure with the dating and stuff you experience that yourself, no? That's kind of normal that photographers kind of try to get in your pants a lot of times. You just have to know how to handle the
yeah,
situation.
it has happened, and I know that like, boyfriends and modeling is sort of like a hot topic for some models. There's a lot of models that don't want to like state if they're in a relationship because they want to appear single, and then there's the models that are single. But I've been in a relationship, like I've been monogamous for a very long time, and I do post about it. I post photos with my boyfriend, like, and tag him in it and stuff and talk about him on my social media. So I think a lot of photographers are aware that I'm taken, but there have been times where, somebody has asked me, "Oh, do we swing or whatever?" And I just have to shut that down a little bit.
Let them fantasize about it. It's whatever. I just don't know why some women want to hide their boyfriends. I find it so bizarre because I don't know, it's part of your life, no? I know some people want to keep this brand, but you're not Beyonce. Like, what are you trying to do here? So why not just share your life? And if your boyfriend is a big part of your life, I would be proud of him and share him all over. I don't
Yeah.
think it really matters.
Actually, I did a podcast recording with a model a few months ago, and she was traveling with her boyfriend, and we brought him up a lot. Like every 5 minutes, we brought him up because she was riding in the car with him, and he would help her set up the photo shoots and then be the driver to all the shoots. And I was like, wow, you guys are like a great team. That's so amazing. And then after the recording, she messaged me and she said, I think I don't want it to be out there that I have a boyfriend just for my marketing purposes. edit that out. And I was like, shit, we brought him up like every 5 minutes. There's
Couldn't
no
she
way.
realize that before you were recording?
I wish that she did, but I think that she just wasn't in her right mind or something.
Oh my God. Is she still with this guy or?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
what's the problem? Like, again, why hide your relationships? I never understood it.
I think that like maybe 20 years ago that was more of a thing, but I think that in social media, like social media has brought everybody's personal lives to the forefront. So maybe like a long time ago, like Michael Jackson didn't want people to know about his skin disorder, so people speculated because he wasn't talking about it or whatever. So like today, people are way more open with, oh, I have ADHD, or I have this, or I have a disease, and people are really open about it, and everybody's talking about everything now. But
At the same time, we're not obligated to share anything with anybody. Like, I keep my personal business personal for a reason, but at the same time, if you care about somebody, I think it can actually save you a lot of trouble just so other people know that you have a boyfriend and they do not stand a chance. But
yeah,
if the girl is hoping for somebody better to come along, then maybe it's a good idea to keep him secret. That's the way to do it.
right. Like if you're not truly committed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of my ex-boyfriends was really weird about, like, he would never post photos of us together for the first like 4 years of our relationship.
What? And you
Yeah,
stayed with him?
yeah, it was weird. Like,
I'll
cause
be like, motherfucker, post this within a week, otherwise we're not even hanging out. And you staying in this for 4 years. That's so funny.
yeah, I think, I mean, maybe he thought that I wasn't gonna be like sticking around, and maybe I was insecure and trying to like prove myself all the time. I was a lot more insecure earlier in my life, and I've progressed.
Yeah, you keep saying it. I cannot even wrap my head around it. Like, look how confident you are with your body, with your work, and you keep saying how insecure you were. Like, what's changed? What made you go from insecure to who you're now? Because that's a big change, no?
Thanks for asking. I love it when my interviewees turn it around and ask me I've had a lot, like when I was in school, like junior high, high school, I was cat girl. Like I was the weird one who was obsessed with cats, and like I just hung out with the other kids that were the weird ones. So
The
I
other
was,
kid ladies.
yeah, the other cat people. And then like high school was weird. I was really sheltered. Like until ninth grade, I was in a private school. And then when I went to high school at a public school, like it was too much of a culture shock. I didn't really make any friends. And so I just started drinking a lot, and I became an alcoholic. And after I turned 18, I started partying a lot and hanging out with people who were kind of getting into some bad shit. And when I was drinking, I thought that I had found the answer. I was like, okay, I'm cool now. These people are my friends. We have stuff in common. But then I got so far down as an alcoholic that I ended up like going to jail a few times for DUI. And yeah, I was basically forced to be sober at the age of 24. And then once I became sober, all my confidence was gone. I had to move out of the party house. My whole identity that I built up for myself, it was just crushed. I was like, oh, this is the end of my life. And at that point, I was back to being insecure again. I was like the same person that I was at the age of 15 when I first started drinking and thought that I was becoming confident. So I had to kind of find myself and like figure out what I actually liked. And it wasn't getting fucked up. It was being creative again, because I had kind of lost my sense of creativity. I wouldn't say I lost it. I enjoyed being at photo shoots and having the time to like focus on creating something, but I definitely wasn't all in until after I became sober and started getting serious about being a traveling model and not just a local model.
Wow. That's a crazy story with the whole alcoholism because you started so early.
Yeah, I started at 18, and I mostly did like free TFP shoots for the first 6 years.
Six
And
years.
yeah, I was a waitress, and I worked in fast food, and I was just living at a party house, and I would get some paid shoots a couple times a month. in Seattle mostly. And it wasn't until I got fired from my restaurant job that I was considering, oh, maybe I could be a stripper, or maybe, maybe I could be a prostitute if I need to pay my bills, but I wasn't sure what to do because I was like a hopeless alcoholic. I didn't have any other skills besides waitressing and bartending.
Well,
But
that's still a valuable skill,
it
knowing
is,
how to bartend, and yeah,
it
but the
is.
alcohol is never the answer. That's such a bad demon.
But
It
the
only
problem was
ruins.
I was drinking so much and I was going to like interviews for other bars to work as a bartender there. And I probably put off a vibe that indicated that I was hungover at the interview or something. I was bad. So it was like nobody was calling me back. I couldn't get a job. So my roommate suggested, why don't you just try booking more photo shoots? And a photographer in Seattle that I was friends with suggested another model that lived in Portland that was also very short, just like me, that was doing this full time. Shout out to Floofy. And I stalked her and I found out that she was going to be at this public event that I was going to find her at. And I made friends with her and she showed me the way, basically.
Wow, what a nice roommate, and just the people around you back then that kind of put you on the right path, because
Yeah.
they could have just spiraled weirder and weirder, and the DUI, that's no joke.
Yeah. I had 2 DUIs.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I'm not upset if other people like drink around me, just don't shove it down my throat kind of a thing. But it was
Do
definitely
you
a
still have
problem.
a drink at all, or are you
No,
completely
no.
sober?
I've been completely sober ever since, almost 12 whole years.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Wow, see, everybody has their demons, especially when you're young and basically young and dumb. You just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my life story in a nutshell. And speaking of everybody's got their own demons, I also have a segment on my podcast that I call the Rising Phoenix Era of Your Life. Can you describe a time, it could be related to your modeling or not, where you were faced with some kind of a challenge that you had to overcome?
I think I have challenges every day, but as an immigrant, I think that's always going to be one of the hardest thing you do, just leaving your country, leaving your family, friends behind just to start a new life. So that whole part of my life from 17 till I would say 19, that's when I felt a little more, I spoke the language already a little bit and I understood the culture, but just moving here with no English knowledge, no friends, no idea what I'm gonna do with my life. That's been, or, that's always gonna be one of the hardest part of my life for sure.
Wow, yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, I mean, I know I have 1 or 2 other friends that moved from another country, but I still couldn't really imagine like putting myself in those shoes.
It's hard. And for English speaking person, you can go anywhere and people gonna speak your language. But if you come from a country where you have 13 million people and nobody speaks your language around the globe, it's hard when you don't know English.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough, and I'm sure every immigrant can agree. It takes years to just find yourself and kind of find your purpose a little bit and just start a new life. But at that time when you're 17 and you don't know yourself at all, that's a really tough time to be moving to another continent.
Yeah, and I'm sure you had friends back at home that you had to leave behind, right?
Yeah, and a person that I was in love with,
Oh.
just the whole shebang was just very tough on me. So yeah, it's not easy to just move to another country.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. That is hardcore. But I mean, props for, learning the language and then becoming a freelance traveling model. That's
And
so
learning the
cool.
slang and the culture.
Yeah,
No,
that's
there's always something. There's always a new word that I'm learning every day, and my English never is going to be perfect. It's fine. I'm okay with it. But people that have maybe hard time understanding accents and not appreciating people's English, they should realize that we already speak at least one more language and more languages than the person judging us. So instead of judging us for our accent or, blaming us for the wrong pronunciation, they should try to speak our language and then see how they do.
Oh my
So
God.
it's you get a lot of judgment when you move here from another country because not everybody is welcoming. Not everybody is gonna look at you like, wow, they're trying. Some people just look at you, oh, she's just another, like Russian spy or whatever.
Oh my God.
So there is always something, but life is interesting. You just have to embrace it, and I think it makes you stronger. Just all these challenges are here for a reason.
Yeah, I can't believe people give you shit about that, but I mean, I guess,
I don't take no shit. Don't get me wrong. I built myself so strong that I can take anything. So it's fine. But at the beginning, it was a little tough to just build yourself back up.
yeah, that's amazing. And so do you also travel internationally for modeling?
I've done some trips like that, but I am very, what do you call it in English? Just careful about stuff like this because I don't want to be in a situation where I don't know anybody and then they force me to do stuff that I don't want to do. It's a little sketchy. I went to Indonesia for over a month and it was fantastic. I went to Mexico multiple times, but I haven't really traveled in Europe for modeling, which I've been wanting to do, but it's the whole political situation everywhere is a little
Yeah,
scary. And also, since I don't know anybody there really, what if something happens? I'm a little afraid to do this on my own. So maybe if I'm with somebody and we can travel together, it would be easy. But other than that, I'm okay here for now and just see what happens. But
that's
I just never want to be in a situation where I would put myself in danger.
That's valid. I do hear that touring Europe for photo shoots, though, is amazing. I hear that the going rates for models is significantly lower than the United States.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it that makes me want to reconsider because you have to pay a lot for your flights and lodging, and then considering that you're not even making the money that you could do in the US, why even bother?
Yeah,
But
totally.
I noticed you did a lot of international shoots, no? Like Australia and all these cool places. You were
Yeah.
not afraid to go?
Yeah, I went to Australia 3 times and I was nervous each time, and I know that they are tough at the border, and Australia is the only country that I was like worried about because I know other models that have been turned around at the border because they found lingerie in their suitcase and
That
I
happens everywhere though, I think in every country.
yeah, yeah, I guess. The last time I went to Australia when I was at the airport on my way back to the United States, there was some lady with a clipboard that came up and asked me if she could do like a survey about like how my trip was. And I was like, sure, I've got a few minutes before my flight. Go ahead. And
Not suspicious at all, but yeah, go on.
I didn't want to be suspicious by saying no. So I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, And this lady grilled me hardcore. She was like, were you traveling here for work? What were you doing here? Like, what hikes did you do? And like really asking me all these questions in different ways. Like, did you make any money while you were doing this? And, all of this stuff. And I was kind of sweating bullets. Like I got out of there okay, but that was the last time I went to Australia, and then the pandemic happened, and I've really mostly just been to the US and Mexico ever since the pandemic, and I'm okay with that, honestly.
Yeah, it's still nice here. People still have the same equipment, still have the same ideas, so you don't have to go far to get great shots.
Yeah,
And it's safer, and safety should be the number one priority for a single traveling girl.
for sure. And there's also a lot of beautiful parts of the United States that I still haven't traveled yet that I'm discovering and want to go to. So,
Yeah, same here. There is something in every state. Every state has just hidden gems that nobody talks about, and they're so beautiful. I think this country is amazing. You just need to find what you like and what sparks your passion, but there's so many cool places.
Yeah, totally. What places are you thinking about going within the States that you haven't been to yet?
I've been wanting to go to Alaska for the longest time, and I know it's not going to be a hot spot for modeling, but I think it's going to be more for just my own peace of mind because I just love mountains. I love seeing wild animals, just anything in the wild makes me so happy. So I would love to make it to Alaska this year.
Yeah, that would be great. You should.
Have you been?
I have. I've been to Alaska twice. Once was a cruise with my family, and the other time a photographer flew me out there to shoot around some mountains, and it was beautiful.
Wow, and it didn't rain? Because I heard it can rain a lot.
It didn't rain. It was the summertime, so like the sun wasn't really setting all the way. It was like one of those, they have endless days in the summertime.
Yeah, it must be so strange.
Yeah, it was. The hotel that I was staying in had blackout curtains so that you could try to sleep at night.
Yeah, well, I need them normally, so yeah, I would probably, if they don't have it, I would have to travel with my blackout curtain.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Yeah, I would love to see it too.
Do you have travels in the near future?
Yeah, I'm leaving to Kentucky next week and Cincinnati all together, but Kentucky, I've never been there, so it's gonna be my first time in that state, so I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't toured Kentucky. I've driven through it though.
Yeah, you guys are crazy. Sometimes you travel all across the country. I'm not one of those crazy people. I think I'm a little more sane when it comes to driving. I just kind of fly in, fly out. But sometimes you do need a car, so I'm not opposed to the idea, but I'm impressed when you guys just travel from city to city. It's a lot to handle. Already two cities are already a lot. And when I see people traveling across the states or multiple states at once, I'm like, wow, I don't think I would be able to do it. But
So when on your Kentucky and Cincinnati trips, are you just flying in and out of there then?
yeah, I'm flying in, flying out of Cincinnati. So I'm just depending on everybody else working there with me and they get me around. And, I'm not scheduling stuff that's far away from me. So I just keep it simple and easy because I'm all about just simplicity these days and not stressing myself. I'm done with stressing myself. So as long as the trip is somewhat easy, I'm okay. But once it starts stressing me out, I don't even want to go.
Yeah, I can align with that also.
Yeah, after a while, it's fun at the beginning. You can be up for any kind of adventure when you start modeling, but I think after a few years, you realize that why do I need to bother? Am I gonna bother for $500? No, thank you. So just you kind of set your priorities, and my priority is a peace of mind and just having a good time. I don't want to stress myself.
Yeah. When you go to cities for tours like this, do you usually get your own Airbnb or hotel, or do you get hosted by somebody?
I try to get my own, but of course it's nice to have somebody else taking care of it, and I don't have to spend money on accommodations, and maybe the local person can show me around, but it's rare when I get to stay with somebody. I'm usually getting my own place.
Yeah, and then people can come shoot you there, ideally.
Yeah, if it's a nice location, yeah. But when I started modeling, it wasn't like this. I didn't have the money to spend on nice locations and you go as you learn. I think nowadays it's quite affordable to just get your own place in most states and just have people come to you.
Yeah. Yeah, true that. Keeping it simple. That's cool. Well, right on. Is there anything that you'd like to promote for yourself while we're still on the podcast?
Mm, Promoting is a strong word, but I think it's nice when people notice our work and just keep an eye on us because you never know what's gonna happen. Just like with you, you went from modeling to podcasting. Who knows what's gonna happen with me? So it's nice to just keep an eye on us.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think it's really valiant that you're, continuing on with your posting and your modeling. And, I always have this fantasy that all of us like traveling freelance models that are like within this age range that we're in are going to still stay connected somehow, like, you know, 10, 20 years from now, because like this experience of being a traveling nude model, like it's very unique. You know, we have stuff in common just because we're doing this weird shit, right?
Yeah, and we know the same people when we went through the same experiences. I think maybe we should make like a little documentary one day and put our experiences together.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
I think so too, but it's just nice to keep in touch in general. You never know when you may need somebody's help or reference or help with your trip. It's nice to be kind to each other and help each other out. I noticed that a lot of girls are kind of opposed to giving their contacts to models, and I find it so strange because anybody who would reach out to me, I am always so willing to just give you what I can. You know, not saying they're gonna book you, but here are my contacts. You can try and do your best and have a productive trip. But some girls are not into that. They would never even share their contacts, and I find it very, very strange because you're supposed to build each other up. That's how you make everybody better around you, and it's a good karma.
Yeah. Are you in any like group Instagram chats or group Facebooks with just other traveling models that like give each other advice and contacts and stuff?
I didn't even know there is such thing.
Oh, what the heck? Well, shit.
There are groups like that?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, we should get you invited to some. Jeez. What
Wow.
the heck,
Well, I never
Veronica?
heard of any. And here I am thinking maybe I should make a group like that, and they're already out there.
Yeah, they
I've
exist.
been behind a rock or under the rock or whatever.
You've been a lone wolf.
But that's how I kind of roll. It's been working fine, but it's always nice to have somebody else's input and help. And if I could help somebody else, that makes me happy too. So yeah, definitely if you can send me stuff, and that would be
Cool.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. Cool. Well, all right, Veronica, it's been about an hour, and I think that we've had like a really fantastic podcast recording, and I'm excited to share it.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me and for what you're doing, because I notice a lot of the models that have been doing it for a while, they try to sell courses and charge for this, charge for that, and give their advice to models. But sometimes it's just okay to just share your story. I think that's already so valuable to other people, more than just some course. So
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is actually very nice and very eye-opening. So
Oh,
I hope you
thanks.
keep on doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you said that because it does mean a lot.
Yeah, you deserve it. And you've been doing this for a long time too, so, gotta get your fruit out of the tree that you planted a long time ago.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.